We're really moving through this much faster than last time. So we were making friends. You're making friends. We're all making friends and hanging out. And comics know when you're young and all you're doing is hanging out with each other. You know, you do the shows, you eat afterwards, you hang out, you drink, you do drugs, you play. And Michael Caine was a guy that people don't remember now. He was a comedian, Michael Caine. And he was a very funny guy. He was one of those guys who was way funnier off stage than he was on stage. He was a straight-looking guy, he was a former seminary student to become a Catholic priest who went really bad. He went real bad and became a stand-up comic. But he still looked real straight, and he was able to go into all the top clubs in New York City. He was a real, he worked both sides. He used to do this thing once a year. He'd rent a Santa costume for Christmas, and he'd have this spare elf costume. And one year he comes and he goes, put the elf costume on, we're going drinking for free. And we go from bar to bar, and he goes, Santa's here, and he goes, drinks for Santa and his elf, you know? And we'd soak up a couple beers, they'd hand us some joints or Coke, and we'd go to the next bar, you know? And so I love Michael Caine. He was partying, and he was a guy that just took the joke. So one night, Michael and I and my first wife were up doing acid all night long, and I had to go the next day to be in Washington, D.C. to perform. So at 10 in the morning, I was still tripping like crazy, and they had to take me down and put me on the train to go to Washington, D.C. from New York City. So they're like, oh, we're sorry to see you go. And I'm like, I'm sorry to see you go too, because I'm really out of my mind, you know? And you know when you're tripping, if you've ever done that, if you're with people, they are the pod, man. You cannot leave the pod. But I was leaving the pod, and they're like, we're sorry, man, we're sorry you got to go. And I go, yeah, I got to go. And I get on the train, and I barely hold it together, and I get down to D.C., and I take niacin. I used to take niacin to come down off the acid. It was a little trick somebody told me along the way. And I came down pretty well, and I was doing my first show Friday night in Washington, D.C. I was on stage, and I'm doing okay, and all of a sudden the laughter stopped at a weird point, and then the laughter picked up, and I hadn't done anything funny. And I felt this presence behind me, and I turned, and it was Michael Caine with a big pie, and he hit me right in the face. He had caught the next train down and decided to surprise me on stage, which I thought was, wow, man, that was so cool. And he brought more acid, so we stayed up the rest of the, and that did a lot. He was the guy that took the joke.